Marilyn, were you here last week? I thought so. I just want to make sure I got you a
Okay, we're gonna start.
Okay, they're each a different sheet.
What do I do with mine? Okay, one.
You make sure everybody has one, or everybody who's like,
Of
don't
each?
don't give Mr. Jonathan one and Brooke one. And Brooke, just give Brooke one and one per folder.
Yeah, I have a whole pile of pins if you need them. They're up front. They were here last week, too. I didn't tell you all that, but if you need one.
I passed them out.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Because remember, Jim needed a blue pen to go.
That's right. I forgot about Jim. Okay. He's got his pins. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and start with prayer, and then we'll get rolling here. Lord, we thank you for allowing us to gather back in your house this evening. We pray that as we look at money and finances, Lord, that, again, we never forget that it's all yours, and that you've blessed us with that. And I pray you would give us wisdom as we look at how we use our finances and with wise ways in the way that you would have us to use them. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Right. Last week. All right. So did you learn anything? Yeah, he can come up and sit with his wife. Yeah. No, did you learn anything? Did you learn anything about your own finances? Did you find any money? I know we did the whole Secretary of State thing, or lost money and better for other people. Hey, there you go. And sometimes that's it's laundered, but now it's clean. Yeah. Is there any questions? I know last week was pretty basic, so wasn't a whole lot there. Really new, just some ideas. But any questions on anything? Yeah. Ha! So if you want the cheap, quick, dirty way that probably has no bearing whatsoever on anything, you can go to Zillow.com. And it will usually give you something. But sometimes they guesstimate things. They will look at square footage and imagery, but just understand that that's the computer coming up with that number, so it's not actual appraisal. So, yeah. I mean, that's always a good one. What do you have insured for? They're the ones that are going to write the check if it burns down, so, and that might be something, about even just to look, make sure, and we'll talk about more of that at a later date, but make sure that's all accurate and current, so. But yeah, you can use Zillow, you can do some other sites, because they'll guesstimate, but again, it's a guess, it's a computer doing it, and sometimes their market isn't our market, so sometimes you look at them like, I don't think that's really what that's worth, so, or it's like, well, if that's what it's worth, then it's going on the market today, sometimes that buddy of mine, he looked it up on Zillow, and he's like, well, then somebody write that check right now, and it's yours, I'm out, I'm moving. Because it wasn't going to happen, so. All right. Assets are what? Things you own, yeah. Stuff you own. Yep. Liabilities. Things you owe. Net worth? Assets minus liabilities, yep. Depreciation is stuff that goes up. Depreciation is stuff that, unless it's COVID and cars, and then all bets are off. And equity. Yep, exactly. So what the thing is worth. So, all right, where'd my money go tonight? Or like say, too much month at the end of the money. And I'm guessing most all of us have been in that situation at some point in our life, realizing that, that bill is due and the bank account doesn't have that. I know there's a real quick story. I know of an individual that he went to buy something at a store, some food, and they didn't have all the items, and so they refunded his money, but because he used his debit card, it went back on his debit card, and because it was after hours, the money wouldn't actually go back until Monday. He had $31 worth of food, and he had $32 in his bank account, so he had to go the entire weekend with $1 to his name, and he didn't have any food for supper because they wouldn't give him his food because they couldn't fill the order, and he said, well, can't you substitute? And they said, no, we can't do that. We just refunded your whole order, but he didn't really get it, so he was sweating things there for a few days there, so with just $1 to his name. So we've all been in that situation here. So, all right, income. Katie's going to talk about some income stuff here.
All right. So income being our first topic of the night. Income, essentially, first question: what is income? Money coming in from all sources. Yeah, money you get. But money coming in from all sources does not mean there is a hidden sock drawer stash. The whole going back to being completely transparent. Any money that comes in needs to be shared as it's all money, all sources. So there's different types of income. The first is active. Active income is really anything, wages or payment you get for doing a job, money that requires effort. So things like garage sales, selling things online, 8 to 5 work, stuff like that. That's going to be your active income. Something, money, you get paid for doing something. And then we have passive. Passive is money you don't do anything for, and we will get into more of what that looks like here in a minute. But you have active, passive, and then there's non-traditional or extra income. And again, that'll be here in just a little bit. We'll talk more about what the non-traditional extra types of income that there are. So looking at passive income, the first one example listed here is interest from a bank account. Is an example of a passive income. Basically, you just get money from the bank for having the bank account. If you were to put $100 in the account, but then you have somebody who needs some money and the bank then gives that money to those people on loan, they pay back the bank, then the bank puts a portion of that into your account. Did I explain that correctly? He's like, yes. So interest then from the bank account. The next one is rewards points. There are a bunch of different apps out there that you can get rewards points for. Things like Upside. Fetch is one where you scan the receipts and you get points for those. I think Ibotta does a points thing. These are not all bad, but one thing you need to watch out for is they can be a trap to lure you back into spending money at specific stores. Like, for example, Menards, they offer an 11% rebate on a lot of their items, but really that rebate is only good for store credit. So if you go and get a rebate back on those things, unless you have plans to go buy something else, you're spending money there to get these points that you're not going to end up using. So it's not, there's no point at that point. So you just have to kind of be discerning if you're going to do these reward points on really is there a point in getting them if I'm not going to use the points or that sort of thing. Then we have dividends. Dividends, by definition, if you don't know what a dividend is, it's money that a company will pay investors who invest stock into the company. They will pay you back a share of the profits. So, for example, Apple is a very well established and does very well as far as sales and things like that, the profit they make through their company. And right now, they give about 96 cents back per share to their investors. So if you own stock in Apple, you get 96%, that'd be a lot. 96 cents per share for the stock that you own. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. It makes sense in my mind. I just want to make sure that how I'm explaining it makes sense to everybody else. Okay. Rebates is the next one. Rebates sound like a really good deal, but 40 to 60% of people do not follow through on rebates. They do not mail them in. And the stores bank on this happening. They offer these because they say, oh, pay $20 with a $5 mail-in rebate, knowing you'll pay $20, which is the full price. It sounds good that you'll get $5 back, but they know 40 to 60% of people are not going to mail it in and get that money back. So sounds good on the outside, but rebates, and you can, it's here on income because you can get money back on rebates. You can mail it in and get the money back. So if you do that, you do get that source of money coming in. Rebates just might sound good, but if people don't have follow through, that's kind of what a lot of companies and a lot of stores kind of bank on happening. And then kind of offset this, there is a difference between a sale and a rebate. A sale is something that's going to give you a fixed lowered cost. So if it's originally $20 and they say you can have it today for $15, that's a sale. But if they say you get it for $20 with a $5 mail-in rebate, you still pay the $20 and you may or may not do the $5 because it depends on if you follow through to get that money back. So that's essentially difference between sale and rebate. And then the last one, the tax refunds. We all love tax day. Is that me? If you get a refund, exactly. That's why it's on this passive income. You may, it's not, you don't have to You don't have to work for money. Yes, you work and, you get taxes taken out, but the refunds, it's just whatever source, if you have tax refunds that come back or not. So it's here on income, though, in case you do. Then we have the non-traditional extra. I'm going to let John explain more about this.
So non-traditional extra things, these are maybe things that you don't always think about. Of course, selling stuff, and I include that as a separate option as opposed to the active, if that's not something that you're normally doing, like a garage sale is an organized event, you're planning on that, but it's like, hey, I got this thing, and somebody's like, hey, I'll buy that. Cool, that's some extra income that's coming in, okay? Online, goodness gracious, big one is videos. Did you know, maybe most of you may know this already, did you know there are people that have videos on YouTube of them cleaning their houses and vacuuming? And people watch that. And when people watch that, those people make money while you watch them vacuum. I don't know why, but if you like watching people vacuum, more power to you, okay? So there is money to be made out there vacuuming your floor, mopping your floor, whatever. But that's an online thing. Tutoring, there's some online tutoring opportunities. I know my sister-in-law does some stuff with English as a second language kind of thing with some foreign students, helping them out with that online. Video editing, there's some typing, some on-demand contract stuff. If you have a skill set, that you do in your daily 8 to 5, then sometimes you can pick up some side gigs online, contracting that out, okay? Warning, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You are not, most likely, first off, you're probably not going to be the next YouTube sensation. If you are, more power to you. I'm proud of you. Go for it. But you're probably not going to be. So don't expect that you're going to be making $1 million mopping your floor. That's most likely not going to happen. The other thing is it going to be worth your effort? If you spend 30 minutes doing something and they're going to pay you, $2, you work for $4 an hour. It's not a great time. Is it really worth it? Because not only is it your time that you're investing into that, it's time you're not doing something else. So possibly with family or doing something more enjoyable. So those are some cautions with that. Another one, a second job or a part-time job. Hey, why not? Domino's pays $14 an hour for pizza delivery drivers in Mexico, last time I heard. That's not including tips. If you're hitting the market, man, there's some markets that delivery drivers make $1,000 a week. That's some serious cash. That's $52,000 a year if that's all you do. You can pick up a Friday evening, a Saturday, something like that. Pick up some odd times that people don't want to work. You can pick up some extra income there. It's and a lot of that stuff you can set your own hours because they're pretty desperate for people. Especially most jobs right now, they're desperate for people. So if you can say, hey, I can give you 3 hours, on these days, they'll probably say, yeah, go for it. Extra hours if your job allows an opportunity for that. I know nursing is a huge field for that. You can work your normal shift and then turn around and go work the ER, and make some serious bank doing that. So these are some extra things. One thing is if you're in ministry, there's other avenues to make money through ministry. And sometimes that sounds weird, but we shy away from that. Just because you're doing ministry doesn't mean you shouldn't profit from it, okay? Don't muzzle the ox, as Paul said. He's picking up that Old Testament proverb, Old Testament idea from that. So it's okay to make money doing ministry because in all honesty, everything we do should be what? It should be ministry. Everything we do should be to the glory of God. So whether you're working, at play, whatever it is, we need to do that. Money myth. So if I just had more money, I would be happy or content. All right? Money is like alcohol. It makes you more of who you already are. Okay? It's been said that if you're a goofy person and you get drunk, you become just flat out stupid. If you're a very uptight person and you get drunk, you get angry. So if you're a spender and you get a ton of money, what are you going to do with the extra money? You're going to spend it. And if you're a saver and you get a ton of extra money, what do you do with it? You're going to save it. So the money isn't the issue. Matthew 6:21-24. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. So if the light within you is darkness, how deep is that darkness? No one can serve two masters, since either he will hate one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Kind of illustrate this, a little parable. Paul Tripp, he's a theologian, teacher, counselor. He wrote a devotional, pretty popular devotional, New Morning Mercies. We've done some studies of his here at the church. But Paul Tripp tells a story, and I'm ripping it off. I'm modifying it to fit not my situation, but a detail that works in my life. So he gets the credit for coming up with the idea. I'm just modifying it. So growing up, we had a peach tree in our backyard. And this peach tree, I don't know where it came from, if we planted it or if it just sprouted up, whatever it was. But when it got old enough, it bloomed out and set on peaches. And those peaches, you get about the time when it was peach season, and you go out and check those peaches, and guess what? They were hard as rocks, green as a gourd, and nasty. You couldn't eat them. They were terrible. And the peach tree did this for a couple of years. And then one day we went out there, and there was this perfect little pile of peach pits under the peach tree. Like just this little pyramid shape of peach pits. Well, something obviously likes the peach tree. And that was weird. A couple of days later, the dog is barking. It's nighttime. Dog's barking at the tree. We go to the tree and look up in there, and there's this big old fat possum sitting up in this peach tree. This possum eating peaches. The only thing that would eat one of them nasty peaches was a possum. And we know what possums eat. About anything. So the tree became nicknamed as the possum peach tree. Well, the possum peach tree didn't get any better. So you know what I did? No, I went out on prime peach season, and I got me a big old box of Alberta, Georgia peaches. And I took them home, and I fired up the air compressor, and I nailed all them peaches up on that peach tree. And I stepped back and looked at that peach tree, and that was the most beautiful peach tree you've ever seen in your life. Full of the juiciest, ripest peaches you've ever seen. Exactly, you're laughing. What happened that next year to that peach tree? What did it do? Made possum peaches. Why? Because that's all it was. It couldn't do anything different because I hadn't changed anything on that tree. I gave that tree $1 million lottery winning. And what did it do with it? Well, those peaches were wasted, weren't they? You couldn't even eat the peaches because I ruined them. So it was a complete and utter waste. We did cut the peach tree down a couple years later because possums didn't eat more peaches. So, National Endowment for Financial Education did a kind of a study and compiled some data, and they said 70% of lottery winners will go bankrupt within a few years. A study of lottery winners in Florida showed that after 3 to 5 years, winners of a large amount, and they defined that as between $50,000 and $150,000, they filed bankruptcy at the same rate as people who are winning the $5, $10 ones. So clearly, money isn't the solution. Money is just going to cause more issues. And so that's a myth. Money just makes you more of who you are. So you got to change the heart. And that's what the verse there was talking about in Matthew. That it's where your treasure is, it's where your heart's going to be also. That peach tree couldn't do anything better because it was bad from the root. Okay? And so if you're bad with money, you got to have to change it. It's going to be a heart change. So we have a mind change and a heart change. So, and at the end of the day, you can't serve both God and money. I heard a quote this week. I listened to a podcast. And he made the comment, he goes, I think it's appropriate that we put in God we trust on our money. And he said, because I think we're trusting in a God, but it ain't Jesus. And another translation you might see for this verse, it may sometimes say, you cannot serve both God and mammon. And mammon it means money, but sometimes it can also take on a deity. And so if we're focusing ourselves in the pursuit of money, and that's also a pursuit, not just spend, but it's pursuit, so that hits for those of us who like to save and acquire money. Sometimes we need to ask ourselves, who are we serving? Is it God, or are we serving money? Which means we're serving ourselves there. So, expenses. What are they? Very simple. Yeah, money going out. Again, for any reason. I highlight that because no hidden expenses, okay? Types of expenses. First one, expected. What are some expected expenses? Yeah, utilities, What else? Insurance, mortgage, yeah. Food, yeah, the normal things, What about some unexpected expenses? Medical. New tires, okay. Car repair, okay. So I'm going to jump over here, and I'm going to change some terminology just a little bit. So money myth number, I guess, are we 3? 2, 3, whatever we're at 2. There are always unexpected expenses. How many of our expenses that we say are unexpected are really just unplanned? We said tires, right? You own a car, your car has tires, what's going to happen to them tires? You know you're going to have to replace your tires. Yeah, it's a known. So it's not unexpected, it's just unplanned. We maybe didn't plan for that. The old work van I had, 381,000 miles when the engine blew up in it. Was that an unexpected thing? No! Once it hit, when it was going to have, yeah, when it hit 300,000, let's be honest, every mile after that was unexpected, you know? Yeah, no, so that wasn't an unexpected thing. I mean, y'all would laugh and say, you didn't expect your van would die? You know, once you hit 300,000? No, it was, you know. Now, in that situation, it wasn't unexpected to me either. I had planned on it for quite a while because I was like, hey, we're just going to milk this puppy for all she run. But yeah, so a lot of those things that we talk about are really unplanned. They're not unexpected. We know they're coming if we think about it for a second. So, you know, everything from a medical to, we have health insurance. That tells us we're planning for something to happen. You know, we talk about cars, car repair, maintenance, that kind of stuff. Right, exactly. So there is that. So, emergency is another type of expense. Now, I do categorize the difference between emergency and the unplanned, okay? But these need to be a true emergency, and we're going to talk about later on how we can even plan for the emergencies. So they're not as emergency as they could be. One true emergency that I would go with is a loss of income from a job loss. It was just announced yesterday, the radio reported it, Soft Surroundings is closing. The Soft Surroundings here in town. They're packing up and shutting down. The word was they called the employees in that morning and said, hey, you're all getting a pay raise. Congratulations. And then they told them that afternoon, I'm sorry, but we're shutting down. So I guess there's your good news, bad news thing. But yeah, so it's like, ouch. That would be a true emergency, right? Because nobody's working a job expecting it to shut down. Another one, which I think could be even worse, the hospital. They thought they had stuff prepared and planned out, and then come to find out they didn't, through no fault of their own on that one. So those are some things that are true emergencies, and so those are expenses that come up. Unanticipated price hikes. There for a little bit, the price of insulin went just flat stupid. There was some corporate changes that happened, and then I think the price, it was like a stupid high skyrocketing price increase. And so for those individuals that, you know, hey, they were used to budgeting out, you know, $30-40 a month for whatever, and now it's $300, that's a little bit of a difference. So there is some emergency things, but I do categorize those different from the unplanned or the unexpected. And then the last one here is hidden expenses. And these are the kind of things that, not saying that you're hiding them on purpose, but maybe these are things that you don't catch or you don't realize. For example, how many of us have some type of a streaming service? There are people who have, and this is the irony of ironies, they got tired of paying the $100 a month cable bill, so they replaced them with 10 different $15 a month streaming services. You know, how many of those are you really using? There's an app you can download that like analyzes your, you plug in, I guess, your bank account or your credit cards or whatever, and it looks through all of them, and then it comes back and says, hey, these are all your streaming services that you've got. Do you still use them all? Do you want to cancel? You know, it tells you how much you're actually spending. Those are kind of the hidden expenses. You don't see them there. They're not readily available, and maybe the things you don't even see going out. That's a thing called RMR, recurring monthly revenue, and that is a great, great deal for a business. And that is simply a subscription service, and most people, once they've subscribed to a subscription, do not cancel, especially if it's on auto pay. If every month that money just comes out of your account, most people will never cancel. And businesses bank on that and make a lot of money off of that. Katie's going to hit our next money myth here.
Okay. So if you guys remember last week when I talked about my financial upbringing, this was like my anthem for years. But it is a money myth. It's just a couple of bucks. It won't matter in the long term. And I will also say, because of years of like doing this same sort of thing that I'll get into here in a minute, is I still sometimes struggle with this. So to say all that, I'm still continuing to learn as we're going along with this as well. So it's just a couple of bucks. This also piggybacks off of hidden expenses, because there are things that you can spend money on but not realize how much that can add up. And when you spend the little bit at a time, they add up. And so that's why it's kind of along the lines of a hidden expense. So we're going to look at a case study. Scooter's Coffee. Yeah, so we're all pretty well aware, if you've never had Scooter's Coffee, if you have, you all at least have heard of Scooter's Coffee, right? Or a Starbucks or a Dunkin', all amazing places. But anyway, Scooter's Coffee, the average drink we have here at $3.50. That might be on the low side. If you go to a lot of these coffee places, a drink could be anywhere from this price to $6, depending on the drink you get, the size you get, stuff like that. But for the sake of this case study, we'll just say $3.50. All right. So if you buy enough coffee, again, preaching to the choir here, okay? And this is something that I still struggle with. I love Scooter's Coffee. But if an average drink costs $3.50 and you're buying it all of the time, you're actually spending more than you probably realize at the time you are, because those dollars start to add up. So if you think about that little drink building, I don't know why I just called it that, but you know what I'm talking about. The profit per year per store makes $127,917. So you buy a $3.50 cup and it just seems like it's just a couple dollars. Well, they're making $127,000 each year off of your $3, $4 cup of coffee. So, and I'm not saying don't go to Scooters, but it can add up if you continue to do it. So, and then the other thing to think about is something like McDonald's. What do they offer? $1 drink, right? Patty's blah. It isn't a thing anymore. Okay. Well, $1 something per drink. Well, they're making about a 90-cent profit on each of those deals, because they're offering it for $1.29. Sounds great, but it doesn't cost $1.29 for them to make that. So you're getting a 10-cent drink paying $1.29, and they get 90 cents or however much extra back on that, just because they can, and you know, it's just $1.29. It's not a huge deal. Well, it adds up. So then we have our next money myth of, if it's on sale, then it's a great deal. Isn't always the case. To kind of couponing can be a really, really great thing to do. If you have coupons and you can buy stuff, great. As a story, a friend of mine, she did some couponing and found a candy bars. If she used a coupon, could get a candy bar for 30 cents a piece. She ended up buying an entire box of candy bars just because it was on sale. She didn't have a reason for them. She just liked the fact she could get candy bars so cheap, and so she bought them. I'm pretty sure a majority of those went to waste. So, which... Oh, yeah, that was no pun intended, but thank you for... Yeah, thanks for that. So, I mean, just because it says it's on sale does not mean it's a great deal. And that's the money myth people say is, oh, it's on sale, then it must be a great deal because it's on sale. Right. Well, that's the whole thing. If it's on sale and it's got to be a great deal, but if you use it, great, then that's a deal. But if just because it's a sale doesn't mean it's a deal. So, was there anything else I needed to talk on that one? Okay. I'll let him finish up here.
Yeah, and all those things, again, it's not none of those things are bad things. It's just those are the things that sneak up on you. You know, you don't realize. It's like the rebates and that kind of stuff. Yeah, or the buy one, get one half off. Oh, I need to do that. I don't need two of them, though. I need one. But I'm going to buy the second one because I get it half off. And the store banks on that. They all know that. So those are gimmies for the store. So, all right, homework. So income, expense, inventory worksheet. So you've got the printout version of it, and I will stick the electronic spreadsheet version on there. So we're looking at, I know this sounds daunting, but at least a 3 months. So the idea, I want you to go back through your bank accounts, and I want you to look through the money coming in and jot all that down, and then the money going out and jot all that down. The optimal is a 12-month. That's a huge amount of time. I understand that. Preferable, at least a 3-month, okay? The reason being is that a lot of payments come quarterly. You know, you may have things that come due within a 3-month window, and so you'll cover most of your expenses within that 3-month window. But there's some things that we do that are just simply once a year. So once you list all that out in this spreadsheet, let me get that up here. Real quick. More in theory real quick. Come on, move over. Stop. Stop. Can't go any farther. Come back. There we go. All right. It's a little laggy because it's bouncing across everywhere to get to there. So. Oh, my mouse left my screen. It's on this side. Basically, income, you can look on the printout there and you can kind of see basic, put it in. Frequency, how often does that happen? Okay. I do want you to include that because then you can figure out a weekly and a monthly, and then you'll get your annual numbers as well from that. And that'll come in important when you do budgets and things like that. So expenses, that's the one on the screen there. So list out everything that you get paid on. That's a little fuzzy up there, but yeah, that's a typo there, fixing, because it's Bob's car fixing. Bob going to fix your car. But how often do you do it? $85. You do it 4 times a year. And then I've got a category listed in there. And if you scroll over, if it'll let me, on the back page there you can see your printout. Category list there. If you just change those categories on the spreadsheet itself, and you can add as many as you want, as long as you stay within that little gray box when you're adding it, and it's on the spreadsheet in a gray box, it'll automatically come up in a list that you can select under your category. So it'll just automatically be on a drop-down box. You select what it is, and you can change them to be whatever you want them to be. But it's going to go ahead and give you, break it out then a weekly, monthly, and an annual cost, and then it'll tell you at the end there, of course, there's our annual and monthly expenses, and it also tells you where you're at. So for the example I came together, I got $21.12 left for the month. So, and include everything. So I included my $3.50 coffee, and I'm doing that 5 days a week, 365 days, or 52 weeks a year. That's $260. So that's going to cost you $910 a year buying your coffee. You don't realize that $3.50 adds up pretty darn fast, don't it? And we all have our $1 and $2 and $3 items. Trust me. I know what the cost of sweet tea at Dollar General is. And if you have a kidney stone, though, that will pare it down just a little bit. You will think twice about it, but you'll still do it. Trust me. So there's all those things in there. So make sure you go through that. Again, 3 to 12 months. Like I said, the more, the better. Don't hate me while you're doing it. But again, the idea is we want to see everything. We want to see the picture from everything on that. Nope, I'm bringing my mouse back. Won't work. My mouse is over there. There we go. And again, being open and clear and honest with everything. Genesis 25, being naked, versus Ecclesiastes 12:14. And that's it. Eventually, God will bring everything that we do out into the open and judge it according to its hidden intent, whether it's good or evil. I like how the Message translation words that one. Again, everybody's going to find out everything. If your family's dealing with stuff, they're going to find that list of expenses somewhere. And the idea, too, again, when we're done doing all of this, you're going to have one folder that's going to have everything in it, so that if somebody needs to come along and, you know, say something happens, you're unable to take care of some stuff, they're going to be able to have one place where they can go to look and get stuff out, information, okay? Because there's nothing worse than, part of my job, I get in the middle of things, situations, and just hearing conversations, and, you know, something happens with somebody and they don't know where stuff is, you know, there's been a lot of times we've opened up a safe because they can't find a will. And they don't know if the will's in the safe or not. They don't know where any of that stuff is. You know, we gotta look and see. And just having one place where all that stuff is at, it's extremely helpful in that. And again, it gives us an honest picture of our money coming in and going out. Any questions on looking through the income expense sheet, sir? If you spend money on it, put it down. If money comes in, you put it down. That's going to be a key to all of this. Because the next thing we're going to talk about is the budget. And if you do all your homework now, then that one's going to be super easy because I've done all the work for you if you plug it in. A spreadsheet, again, it covers, if you plug it all in there, you can fill the whole page, I think. I think it goes down to like 200 items or something like that. And you can extend that down if you need to. But yeah, it's going to take some effort. It's going to take a little time to do this, but it's going to be worth it in the end. I know we've done this in the past, and it's enlightening. You know, you realize, like I said, that $3.50 a cup every day for 5 days a week, you know, it's $910. And again, please understand, I'm not being critical of that because we all have our things. But just to be able to see those numbers and understand how they all fit together, I think is definitely enlightening. And then you start to realize where your money actually goes. If you listen to Dave Ramsey, he's on every day 1 to 3 on 97.3, I believe it is, or 1 to 4, 3 hours. The number of people that call in that are making six-figure salaries that are flat broke. And he asks them, where's the money going? Not a clue. Don't have a clue. Well, you're spending it somewhere. Yep, but don't have an idea where. Off it goes somewhere, you know.
When Ronnie's parents were alive, we used to talk about how broke we were. We were so broke. And Ronnie's mom was worried about us. I said, no, we have the money to pay the bills. We're broke because we have the money to pay the bills. You know, we didn't have the discretionary funds to go out and buy $3.50 cup of coffee.
Essentially, what I did, I like to save, she likes to spend. And if it's money, sure. We had to divide it out and say, okay, 12 months, here's all the bills that we know we're going to have. It equals to this many $1,000. Okay. What we're going to do is divide that by 12. It's also taxes. Divide it by 12, actually 52. We knew exactly how much money had to go into the bill paying checking account. And then the rest of it, we have to live on this, eat, and all that.
Right.
So we spend it, it's gone. And
You
we're
said
not-
don't have two checking accounts last week. And I go, oh, well,
Now-
we have a Dorothea and a Ron checking account, but the Dorothea is the bill pay, and the Ron is the, we get to have fun.
Right. And let me clarify real quick so that that's not taken totally completely out of context, because I know what you're saying there. When I say don't have more than one checking account, I mean don't have a his and a hers. This is my money to spend and this is my money to spend. You know, that's not coming together on that. As far, I mean, we have multiple checking accounts scattered about for various reasons, but we're both on all the accounts. You know, so there was some financial deals that we've done over the years that necessitated some bank accounts being scattered all over. Basically, they used to pay, if y'all remember back in the day when they were paying you, like if you would deposit, you know, if you deposit $200 in our bank and leave it here for 6 months, we'll give you $50. Okay, That's 25% interest. I'll do that, and so I had done that a few times. So I have some bank accounts in California and Virginia, and because free money is free money. So we still have some of those. I've pared some of that down, transferred out, and they've been bought out. But so I don't mean don't have multiple accounts. That's fine. But don't have multiple accounts that, my money and her money, and that's not healthy, and it's not good. Because that leads to then hiding money and hiding expenses. Because there's all kinds of stories of people finding out, somebody didn't get to the mail in time. There's people who've literally, the Dave Ramsey stories, you can Google, like top 10 or the best or the most horrible Dave Ramsey stories, you can Google those on YouTube and listen to people, and they'll find out that, I opened up the mail and found out that we have, I thought we were doing great, only to find out we got $30,000 in credit card debt that I knew nothing about. It's like, oh, ouch, So yeah, don't have that. And that's why, again, going through this expenses, and while I don't anticipate in this immediate audience, but we are streaming this online, my encouragement to anybody when you're doing this, please extend grace to all parties. Because doing this, if you're doing this right and there's a situation where maybe one party doesn't know about everything, make sure that you're extending grace, okay? Because you're not going to move forward otherwise. Don't use this as a holding over their head. Look at this as a moment of repentance and being clear with things, and we're going to move forward from this point on. So that is my encouragement for anybody in that situation. And something I did not mention, I am going to mention real quick, because there's not really a good place for this to fit in. Again, doesn't apply in the physical audience, but the online. If you are not married, you do not have joint accounts. If you are not married, you do not buy property together because you are in a partnership without any legal protection. It is a very bad. Now, y'all are different. It's a family. That's a little bit different. I know what y'all are chuckling about. I know your situation's a little bit different. But I'm talking about a boyfriend and a girlfriend. We're going to buy a house together. And I know it works out in many situations, but I also know it is very, very ugly when it goes south. Because you literally have to sue the other person. Because with a marriage, you have at least the government has given you that, for lack of better terms, the contract that protects all parties, okay? You have a judicial system that you can work through. You lose that when you're not married, and it is a very, very dangerous thing. You think you think that kind of stuff is ugly in a divorce. It's worse when it's not a divorce. One person can easily screw the other one over, and there's nothing you can do about it. So do not combine. You are... Again, I know there's some different circumstances, but boyfriend, girlfriend, do not combine accounts, because if you do that, guess what? That other party can just empty your bank account on their way out the door, and there ain't a thing you can do about it because you gave them permission to do it. So it's a very dangerous situation, and I'm not speaking to any moral concerns with that, I'm just simply from a business perspective, it is a horrible, horrible partnership to be in. Don't do it. Very dangerous. So that's that. I don't have it, like I said, there's no good place to fit that in with all this. It's just something that hit my mind there to bring back up. I had jotted down earlier. So, any other questions? I understand a lot of this. I'm preaching to the choir of sorts. But in all this, it's never a bad thing to review things. And we've gone through this independently ourselves. And even going through this again, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So there's still those things that you can pick up on and remember and do. So, or something brought to mind like, oh yeah, I need to check into that. Maybe I need to make a change in that area. So, okay, do the homework. Like I said, I'll get those spreadsheets on the Google Drive. Same link, brings you right into it. Click on those, download those. If you have any issues with that, you've got 2 weeks, so there's no excuse you can't do the 12 months. Because I'm going to give you 2 whole weeks, because we won't be here next Sunday night. So look at that, and then we're going to jump into the budget will be our next one, or as I referred to it, Freedom Through Boundaries, I believe is how I entitled that one. So, all right, if there's no anything else, going once, twice, 3? All right. Lord, we thank you for allowing us together here this evening. Lord, I pray that we would, again, as we look at our finances, that we would do it with an open and honest view, Lord. We do it with grace when we look at that, Lord, and we would do it wanting to truly see where our money is going, Lord. And then I pray for that you would convict us if it's in places that it doesn't need to be going, Lord, or if we're not being good stewards of that. Lord, I pray for conviction in that. Lord, I thank you, though, for the blessings you've given us. And I pray we never take those for granted. We ask this in Jesus' name.